This farm near Clacton on Sea grows spuds, wheat, barley and lawns. All crops require specialist kit, but then there's the super specialist stuff. This machine is from the States and is lifting turf rolls that will end up making new builds look like home, landscaping on a grand scale, or just fixing a bald patch. We'll come back to the cutting in a bit. First, we've been invited here by George Lawrence, a young farmer who's about to fertilise the grass being grown on the other side of the farm. Creating such a uniform product takes a huge amount of ground preparation.
So basically the aim of the game of the turf is, when we're planting it, is to get the field as flat as possible. So we'll generally subsoil the field, then I'll plough it, run over with what we call a culture press, go over it 2-3 times, maybe even 4 times, power harrow it, and then we'll stone bury it and then drill it. So quite a lot goes into the turf. But once it's in, it's in. All you got to do is sort of fertilise it, mow it and make sure it doesn't die.
While George finishes his fertilising rounds, we have a chat with farm manager James about the wonderful world of spuds.
My biggest issue is when supermarkets are supplying a general white potato to the general person trying to cook, and then they moan it doesn't mash or it doesn't roast, because there's so many different varieties, there's so many different characteristics, and you've got to match each one, and that's why the supermarkets, in my eyes, just get it wrong so often.
That's true though, because
Yeah.
you see a white potato.
Yeah.
I suppose that's so rubbish, isn't it?
You can buy a white or a red, and it's just like, well, are you trying to fry that? Are you trying to chip it? Are you trying to mash it? Are you trying to roast it? There's so many different characteristics to a potato, and that's what they just don't understand.
Okay, but you mix and match. How many different types have you got, do you say?
Yeah, so we mix and match this year, I believe, well, off the top of my head, we've got 8 or 9 different varieties. Again, early chippings are probably 25% of our area.
Right, we say early chippings. What's that?
So early chipping is chipping potatoes that we're lifting in July, August, loose skins. They're not been set skin, they're not been stored.
Oh my God, you're
Yeah.
starting super complicated now.
So fluffy potatoes, when you see a potato in the supermarket and it's got a loose skin, it's got a fluffy skin, it's been lifted probably within 4 to 8 hours and straight into the supermarket shelf, or for us, straight into a chip shop. So it hasn't been stored in any way, shape or form. So it hasn't, basically what's happened is we've lifted that crop when it's green, and it hasn't been killed down and then the skins have been left to harden, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and then, so yeah.
So how would I tell the difference between those two types of potato? When you say about the skin, what do you mean by the skin?
So basically, if you're buying a potato in the supermarket after October, it's going to be a set skin potato. So the skins it's been left in the field, it's been topped, left to basically naturally die off, and then left for 3 to 4 weeks, and then the skins go hard, and then that potato will then store right through till June, July time, if it's stored correctly at the right temperature. That is a set skin potato, and it's just purely for storage, but it can be any variety, so any variety will store, so it just depends on it's been left in the field to set the skin. When we're lifting early chipping varieties, we don't set the skins, so literally they're just lifted green top and they're going straight into the supermarket. We know they're going to be used straight away, or the chip shop. Yeah.
So how obvious would you be able to tell the difference between one that's been lifted early and one that's been left there?
If you got the skin and rubbed it, the skin will stay on.
Okay, so that's been left in the
That's
soil.
been left in the soil for the skin to stay on and harden. If you get your hand and you rub it and it comes off, it's a loose skin potato. It's probably been harvested green top, or within a couple of weeks have been flailed, and then that won't store for very long at all. So it needs to be used straight away. It's all for storage basically. And a fluffy skin won't store. It will store for 2 or 3 days and then will start to go a bit rubbery. Whereas a set skin potato will store for 6 weeks, 8 weeks at home on your own, or for us in the industry, 8-9 months. So,
wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
There's a lot to potatoes.
Back to the turf, and to start the harvest, the machine needs a co-pilot.
Because there's so much going on and so much to look at, we have someone else in the cab to help steer straight. And once that first straight line's been put in, there's a guide at the front that comes down, which is then basically the GPS for the machine, so then after that it steers itself. But because obviously there's so much going on and so much to look at, you have to have someone help you steer, otherwise you just end up all over the place. On a good field with a good long run, we can do about 800 rolls an hour. Obviously we lift everything to order, but generally lifting between 2,000 to 4,000 at the start of the week. Then obviously Thursday, Fridays are slightly quieter. Sometimes they can be quite busy. Obviously coming into the weekend, they generally get quite quiet, and then it all starts again Sunday and keeps on turning over basically.
You'd think that all that turf removal would eat away at the soil at the same time. Apparently not.
A lot of people think sort of after a couple of years you'll be stepping into a hole, but you hardly take anything off, and I say most of that is all root anyway. You pull that apart, it's all root. There's only really a thin layer of soil on that, because we're not after the soil, we want the root. So essentially you don't actually take that much of the field away.
You haven't got an artificial lawn at home then?
Part of my garden is actually artificial.
No, you're joking.
Yeah. Yeah, just get some
Can't believe that.
proper turf.
Honestly, I just can't. I just thought I'd throw it in there, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have did that, but there we go.